Hello. We are going today to explain about NVivo and file classification. File classification on the NVivo allow you to capture general information about your files. They can be interviews, any type of files of audio, video, and also the literature review and the PDFs in the literature review. If you conduct a literature review, you can import the literature reference into NVivo, the bibliography data that is stored using file classification. So I'm going to start with you and import the files that into the literature review. So I have here folder and I'm going to import them. And then when they're imported here in the NVivo, so this is a new project. I'm going to my main file classification is going to be around scopes. So I'm going to create new classifications and give it a name scope. There are other predefined classification if you are interested, but mine is going to be a customized one. And okay. There are some attributes that they are associated to this scope. So they can be empirical or technical. It depends on my classification. But the scope of the papers that I have, I would like to classify them into empirical, another group which is technical, and both, which are the main scopes of these papers. So in the scope here, I'm going to make attributes for this. So I will give it just any meaningful to them, like empirical, technical, or both. And here we add the values. In the values, I'm going just to give them here a full name, so it can be meaningful for me, or technical, or maybe EMP and tech. So these are the attributes that we are having and the values for these attributes. And then okay, so I prepared my file classification. Now I'm going to assign these files to these classifications. So in the files there is an easy way to do this, where I can select all my files by keep holding the shift button and right click, and here on the classification, this is the scope, the one that I have, and then I'm going to assign it. Now all these files have been inserted into the scope file classification. I need to go to each individual document I have and associate it to its value. There are more than one method. I'm going to tell you the long one and the short one, which I think that you like. A long way around that, I can go to each file, right click, and the property of the file in the attribute values, and this is the one that file classification I have. I say this one is more, it's an empirical one. This is maybe a longer one. There's another easier one, shortcut. If I go to the ribbon home, tab home, and in the ribbon file classifications scope, and here I have all the files that I've just selected, and I can assign it here by the one that I think that one is more handy here, so we can use it that way. So you can add them, and the nice thing is that the same document you can add more than one file classification. So for the same documents, maybe I can make another file classification, which is going to be another column B, C, and D, the same documents, maybe based on the author, or maybe based on the year, or maybe based on the source as well, so that you can group them in different ways by making this table. How can I use this? A simple use it by the query. If I have, for example, if I'm going to do some notes, for example, I'm going to, I have 3 notes here: challenges, novelty, and researcher. And I can, for example, try now to code maybe some of these files. And I have for the novelty here, so for example here, and also I can go for another file. So we can, when we start, because we are coding, by the end that we are coding, so if I go for a NVivo project book, I think that's going to be more technical one. So we add our notes here, so that one is going to be there are some challenges, making a start. So I'm doing a very random coding here, and now I can go to the file classification. So I can now make a matrix query. The matrix query will align or find the overlap between the nodes and the file classifications, which is I would like, for example, to in the scope here. So we have these files which are like each one, it has its own attribute. I would like to correlate between all files that they have challenges and at the same time they are technical, for example. So an application of this, I go to the matrix coding, and on the left hand side I can select my nodes. So in my nodes I will go for the novelty, and in the file classifications I can go for the file classification, and I say I would like all of the files that have been spotted talking about novelty and they are classified as empirical and technical. I would like to see the number of each one of them. Yes. Okay. And okay. Now I will run the query, and that will give me actually most of the files that I have coded about the novelty. They are actually about empirical, more technical, and so on. So we can see that the file classifications A help us to classify our files according to the scope that we find. We can create more than one scope or more than one file classification, and also it can correlate between the nodes to show us how these scope they can meet with the with our coding. I hope that you find the file classification useful, especially with the literature review, and I hope that you find the video useful. Thank you very much, and bye.